Welcome back to the Book Summary, the podcast where we break down the world's most powerful books into meaningful, digestible insights that stick with you. In today's episode, we're diving into chapters 16 through 20 of The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, and these chapters hit a little different. They're not just about numbers. They're about you, your beliefs, your behaviors, your unique money game. We'll explore why what seems crazy to someone else might make perfect sense for you, why pessimism is so seductive, especially in headlines, and how, sometimes, when the stakes are high and the facts are fuzzy, people will believe anything. We'll also tie it all together with Morgan's final reflections, not just theory, but his own real-life confessions about how he actually manages his money. Spoiler alert, it's not what you'd expect from a finance expert. Let's jump in. Chapter 16. You and Me. This chapter dives deep into why we see such vastly different financial behaviors and how seemingly crazy money decisions often make perfect sense to the person making them. Morgan Housel explains that financial outcomes aren't just about hard numbers, but are profoundly shaped by each individual's unique goals, experiences, and time horizons. We're all playing different games with our money, and judging others based on our own game can lead to misunderstanding and flawed conclusions. What one person prioritizes, be it immediate gratification, long-term security, or social status, can drastically alter their financial choices. This concept challenges the traditional economic assumption that everyone is a purely rational actor. Instead, it highlights the deeply personal and subjective nature of our relationship with money. Housel uses powerful examples like the dot-com bubble and the housing bubble to illustrate this point. During these periods, asset prices might have appeared absurdly high to long-term, value-oriented investors, making them seem irrational. However, to short-term traders or flippers who aim to buy and sell quickly for a profit, these inflated prices made perfect sense. They weren't looking at 20-year discounted cash flows. They were playing a different game, focused on short-term momentum and quick gains. Another relatable example is consumer spending itself. So much of what we buy, especially in developed countries, is influenced by social comparisons. We see what others have and subtly, or not so subtly, want people to admire us through our possessions. But we only see their spending. We don't see their underlying goals, their anxieties, or their unique career paths. A young lawyer might need a certain level of visible success for professional advancement, which a writer working from home in sweatpants wouldn't need, even if they have similar incomes. Their game dictates their spending. The crucial lesson from you and me is the importance of knowing your own financial game and time horizon. Don't let your financial decisions be swayed by the actions or perceived success of people playing a different game than you are. Financial success isn't about finding a universal right answer that applies to everyone. It's about discovering what works for you and your family. This involves an honest look inward at your true goals, your comfort with risk, and your personal definition of happiness. The ultimate aim is to make choices that allow you to sleep well at night and align your money with your deepest values, rather than chasing external validation or trying to keep up with others' perceived lifestyles. Chapter 17. The seduction of pessimism. In this chapter, Morgan Housel explores why pessimism often holds such a strong, almost magnetic, appeal in the world of finance and economics. He argues that bad news, particularly extreme negative events, tends to capture our attention because it happens quickly, dramatically, and demands an immediate response. Good news, conversely, often unfolds slowly through the quiet power of compounding and long-term progress, making it less sensational and harder to grasp emotionally. This asymmetry in how news is delivered and perceived leads to a systemic bias where pessimistic forecasts and narratives often sound more intelligent, cautious, and even scientific than optimistic ones. People gravitate towards those who warn of impending doom, even if those warnings are rarely accurate, because it feels like a responsible, informed stance. Housel highlights how the media itself reinforces this bias. A 1% drop in the stock market will typically be reported with bold, red headlines and intense analysis, trying to explain why it happened and what's next. A 1% rise, however, might barely get a mention because the market is supposed to go up, so it doesn't require a dramatic narrative. This constant focus on potential downsides makes it hard for individuals to maintain a long-term, optimistic outlook. He offers a compelling thought experiment. Imagine a Japanese academic in 1945 predicting Japan's incredible post-World War II economic growth, a nearly double life expectancy, and its future status as a global leader. Such a prediction would have been dismissed as utterly insane, yet it happened, but not overnight. It was a slow, quiet, compounding progress that would have been unimaginable at the time of widespread pessimism. This stark contrast shows how hard it is to accurately perceive long-term, positive trends when immersed in immediate negativity. The key takeaway is to be highly aware of the inherent seduction of pessimism. In financial commentary and your own thinking, while a degree of short-term paranoia is a valuable tool for survival, as discussed in Chapter 13, Room for Error, preparing for unexpected downsides and ensuring you save like a pessimist. True long-term wealth building requires an underlying optimism. You need to accept that market volatility and economic challenges are an unavoidable fee for long-term gains, rather than reasons to give up. The true magic of compounding happens over decades, not days, and it's powered by patience and a belief in the world's ability to create value over time, despite the noise and the constant stream of bad news. Cultivate a mindset that can be both paranoid enough to survive and optimistic enough to thrive. Chapter 18. When you'll believe anything, this chapter delves into a profound psychological vulnerability, our tendency to believe almost anything when we face high stakes, coupled with limited control or information. Morgan Housel explains that in such situations, our emotional need for certainty and a clear path forward often overrides rational judgment, leading us to embrace appealing fictions. These narratives, even if improbable, offer a sense of control and hope, which is an emotional itch that our brains desperately want to scratch, rather than an analytical problem to be solved with cold logic. This is particularly true in finance, where the potential for life-changing wealth or devastating loss can heighten our susceptibility to seemingly simple solutions or charismatic but dubious figures. Housel shares the poignant anecdote of Ali Hijazi, a man in a Yemeni village whose son was sick. With no money and facing a dire situation, Hijazi resorted to a folk remedy suggested by elders, shoving a burning stick into his son's chest to drain the sickness. His heartbreaking explanation: when you have no money and your son is sick, you'll believe anything. This powerful example perfectly illustrates the dynamic of high stakes and limited control. In the financial world, similar dynamics play out. People might eagerly follow investment advice from TV commentators with no proven track record, or fall prey to elaborate Ponzi schemes like Bernie Madoff's, even when red flags are obvious. Madoff told a good story, and people wanted to believe it, because the promise of consistent, high returns was so appealing it overshadowed the lack of transparency or logical explanation. This isn't about intelligence, it's about the human desire for a plausible narrative in the face of uncertainty. The crucial lesson here is to recognize how your innate desire for control and certainty can make you vulnerable to narratives that offer easy answers or promise enormous gains, especially when the stakes are high. Instead of clinging to appealing fictions, Housel advocates building robust financial defenses like Room for Error, Chapter 13, and fostering financial independence. These buffers act as a psychological shield, reducing the pressure to make desperate, ill-informed decisions when life throws unexpected curveballs. By reducing the perceived high stakes of every financial event, you can lessen the emotional need to believe in unproven solutions. Cultivate humility about what you don't know and accept the inherent uncertainty of markets and life, which will empower you to make more grounded decisions rather than being trapped by seductive but ultimately false narratives. Chapter 19. Altogether now, this chapter serves as a vital synthesis, drawing together the key lessons from the psychology of money to provide overarching principles for managing money effectively. Morgan Housel emphasizes that financial decisions are rarely purely rational. They are deeply personal, influenced by individual values, experiences, and a complex interplay of emotions. There is no single right answer or universal financial truth that applies to everyone. Rather, what truly matters is finding a strategy that aligns with your unique psychology and goals. Financial success, therefore, is ultimately a soft skill, more about managing your behavior and mindset than mastering complex calculations or market predictions. Housel illustrates the idea of personalized financial advice by likening it to a doctor or dentist. Just as a doctor can't prescribe treatment without knowing a patient's full history and preferences, a financial expert shouldn't tell you exactly what to do with your money without understanding your unique aspirations, timelines, and comfort levels. He extends this with the compelling observation that even doctors often choose different end-of-life treatments for themselves than they recommend for their patients. This isn't hypocrisy, but rather a profound recognition that in complex, emotional matters affecting one's family and well-being, the right decision is subjective. It's about what brings peace of mind and aligns with deeply held personal values, which can't be captured in a textbook or spreadsheet. The core actionable insights from this chapter are multifaceted. First, cultivate humility and self-awareness. Recognize the powerful influence of luck and risk, and avoid judging yourself or others too harshly when things go wrong or right. Second, prioritize minimizing ego and maximizing wealth by spending less than you earn. Wealth is what you don't see, built by suppressing immediate gratification for future options. Third, ensure your financial decisions allow you to sleep well at night. This is the ultimate guidepost, irrespective of aiming for the highest returns. Fourth, lengthen your time horizon, as time is the most powerful force in investing, capable of making small efforts grow large and mistakes fade away. Fifth, be comfortable with many things going wrong, because a few successes often account for the majority of results. Focus on your overall portfolio, not individual wins or losses. Finally, use money to gain control over your time, which is a universal key to happiness, and define your game, not someone else's. Chapter 20, Confessions. In this concluding chapter, Morgan Housel offers a personal look into his own financial philosophy, serving as a powerful illustration of the book's central themes. He emphasizes that financial wisdom isn't about rigid adherence to optimal strategies, but about finding a personalized approach that aligns with one's individual values, comfort levels, and primary goals. Above all, the goal of independence and sleeping well at night. His confessions reinforce the idea that truly effective money management is deeply subjective and doesn't need to be overly complicated. Housel details his own remarkably simple investment strategy. His entire net worth, beyond his home, is held in cash and low-cost Vanguard index funds. This approach is close to indefensible on paper from a purely rational perspective, especially the large cash holding, around 20% of his liquid assets. Yet, he and his family embrace it because cash is the oxygen of independence, and it ensures they are never forced to sell the stocks we own during unexpected expenses or market downturns. This isn't about maximizing returns, it's about maximizing peace of mind and the ability to stay in the game for the long haul, letting compounding work undisturbed. He contrasts his current approach with his past as a stock picker, noting that he shifted to index funds because he realized he could meet his financial goals without the added risk and effort of trying to outperform the market. The core message from Housel's personal confessions is that you have to find what works for you. He advocates for prioritizing independence and peace of mind above all other financial goals. This means embracing a high savings rate, being content with less, and keeping enough dry powder cash to weather unforeseen circumstances, even if it means sacrificing some potential returns. It's about recognizing that there is little correlation between investment effort and investment results if you focus on the few things that truly move the needle: a high savings rate, patience, and long-term optimism about economic growth. Ultimately, mastering the psychology of money is about aligning your actions with your deepest values so you can sleep well at night without getting caught up in the rat race or external validation. So there you have it, chapters 16 through 20 of The Psychology of Money. These final chapters remind us that money isn't just math. It's emotion. It's personal. It's storytelling. It's the quiet, everyday choices we make that shape our futures, not some perfect strategy or flashy stock pick. Whether it's resisting the pull of pessimism, knowing your own money game, or embracing the power of long-term thinking, these lessons are about living on your terms. And maybe that's what true wealth is all about. Being able to say, I'm okay with where I am, and I know where I'm going. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone you care about. And now, I want to hear from you. What book do you want to hear summarized next time? Drop your suggestions in the comments or message us directly. Until next time, stay curious, stay thoughtful, and keep building your money mindset.